Yeah, Harsha, he is Subbu,
Excellent.
ex-SAG member, and one of the advisors to my startup Yatra. And
Oh,
he have some good connects in Korean startup community.
oh, excellent.
Much. And Subbu, please introduce yourself. And he is Harsha. Hope Subbu you had known him. Over to the great side for you.
Thanks, Rajesh. Hey Harsha, thanks so much for joining us today.
Hi, I am delighted to join you guys and look forward to this interesting, engaging session with you guys. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Super, I can hear you properly, so if you can hear me all right, and if the audience is fine, then let's just
Yes,
jump right in.
I can hear you properly. So
Hello everyone, myself Prabhas and I am the CEO of Progranics Technology Private Limited and nice to meet you all.
All right, thanks Prabhas for joining us. Super. So Harsha, just to structure the discussion, right? What I was thinking
Sure.
is, so you've had a varied experience from your time at Microsoft building a lot of RPA products to Holosuite, and also along the way I've seen that you worked with a lot of media personalities. You've been in a lot of interesting conversations as well. So I just wanted to break our probably over the next 30 minutes or so into where it all began with Holosuite, the inspiration, of course, your development story, where you are at right now, and also broadly what you see for the future of the industry as a whole, as well as your plans with Holosuite is kind of what I had in mind. And if you have any more points that you'd like to share, just feel free to jump in and we'll sort it out. Does that sound good?
excellent. So the only request I have is I think I have a couple of interesting videos in my presentation. So I hope I can actually share these things to the audience, because I think they might be sometimes the way I look at it is a picture is worth 1,000 words, a video is worth 1,000 pictures, a 3D video is worth 1,000 videos, and an interactive immersive video, which is what I think Holosuite enables, is worth 1,000 3D videos. So I would at least like to have some videos so that the communication, it is more of a presentation tool. It becomes easier for us to showcase what we are talking about, rather than just saying, oh, this, that, and all. We can show it. I always believe in actually showing something and exciting the people, because that's how my journey actually started. So
Okay. No, for sure. It's all yours in terms of you can show us videos, give us a better idea of what you're doing, because
Sure.
you've been also fairly well covered in the media. So when I was reading a bit about you, there's actually quite a lot happening with Holosuite. And of course, there's a lot of buzz about AR, VR, how AI works in this whole piece. But regarding Holosuite, I saw that you've done a pretty good job in terms of marketing yourself and ensuring that people know what it's about, right? So your call video on when you want to show the video, all of that. So I'll just give you a small story for the benefit of the audience,
Sure.
a small introduction to who you are, to Holosuite, and then why we're having this discussion today, right? So,
Sure.
folks, everyone joining us, thanks so much. Mr. Harsha Kikeri is with us. He's the CEO of Holosuite. So Holosuite is a full body XR platform for virtualizing your body and the world around you. That's to say that our phones, for example, help our fingers kind of help us get to interact with a different kind of a 2D world, like the world which is on the other side of your screen. So using Holosuite, it's a full body virtualized experience. So they've got sensors, you've got a head mounted device which takes you into a different world. And Harsha's been building this product. He's been in this space, promoting it in various ways. So Harsha, so on that note, so could you give us an introduction to yourself and basically the history of Harsha and how
Sure.
Holosuite happened?
Sure. So I'll probably take 10 minutes for doing this, but please kind of feel free to interrupt or ask questions and things like that. So basically, I think I wanted to kind of start with why I started Holosuite, right? So if you look at where the jobs are, a lot of people in India are in this section where they're neither employed nor in education, which is very very scary, right? 30% of our population is actually not working or in employment. So, and there are a lot of actually job openings for which they are not, people are not skilled, because skilling is like not happening in the right way. There is no way to kind of find out whether the person has a skill or not, especially for spatio-visual skills, right? So, and where are the jobs? Like, why are they all jobless? Because the future, if you look at Nirmala Sitharaman, our honorable finance minister thing, they are saying AI, VR, robotics. These are the things which kind of where there are the high paying jobs, right? So now in this context, if we look at how we have evolved as humans, so initially we were couch potatoes, we were all watching TV. Then mobile phone came, and then we became slouch potatoes, like our fingers, our hands also became stuck. And now VR is coming, and now we are becoming ouch potatoes. We'll all put this thing in our head and start bumping to each other, right? So is that where we want the technology to go? We are using technology only for consumption and entertainment. So that really bothered me. So I said, how can we change this? I mean, future was supposed to be so bright. So I said, why not we use this technology to create rather than just consume? So HoloSuit is like a creation device, right? So it, like, if you see in most of these things, you are always viewing things. Your hands are getting, your whole body is paralyzed. But with HoloSuit, the body also comes into the picture. So it's like a, I don't know, some of you might be familiar with the Star Trek, like there is a holodeck where you can go around, but holodeck in the Star Trek is fixed to a single room. But with ours, you can actually move around with the HoloSuit. Let me share my screen with you. Sorry, I have not shared the screen. So I think we were couch potatoes, then we became slouch potatoes, and now we are ouch potatoes. And the idea is with HoloSuit, we want to create a virtual this thing. So let me, yeah. So let me play a quick video which shows the journey of HoloSuit. Is my audio shared? No, right? 1 second. Let me share it with the audio.
Introducing HoloSuit, which virtualizes your entire body and allows you to interact with the 3D spaces around you naturally by touching the nearby objects, pointing to the faraway objects, and feeling those objects through the haptic feedback.
So one of the first lessons in startup is like make sure your better half is completely aligned with you, and the easiest way to make it happen is to make her the co-founder. So this is like introducing my wife, Shweta, who is also the co-founder and president of HoloSuit. So I mean, some tips for our fellow startup guys, right? Because like if they're wondering how do we kind of balance like family and this, like this is how we can balance. You just merge them together.
Similar to how capacitive touch changed the way you interacted with the 2D screens, HoloSuit will cause a paradigm change in the way you interact with the 3D spaces.
HoloSuit captures your entire body motion, including fingers, head, and foot, and can transfer it to an avatar or robot in real time. This allows humans to operate humanoid robots, leveraging the same tools which are built for humans in firefighting, nuclear disaster, hostage rescue situations. HoloSuit replaces expensive physical simulators for defense equipment like submarine, fighter jets with virtual training environments where you can get trained either through HoloSuit AI or by remote real trainers wearing HoloSuit who are sharing the same virtual space. This allows your body's muscle memory to be fully trained by operating in the same physical space and getting real-time feedback for virtual interactions through haptic exciters. HoloSuit comes with options for 26 or 36 embedded sensors and 9 haptic exciters distributed across both arms, legs, and all 10 fingers combined with 6 embedded buttons. You can combine HoloSuit body motion with facial tracking features of smartphone and create full-fledged animations. HoloSuit can capture your body motion with incredible precision. Even play piano with it and capture every note. HoloSuit allows you to pick up, scale, reorient musical instruments
So anyway, I just wanted to give a brief idea of what HoloSuit can do. So and so now we had lot of like very exciting, interesting like people who came and visited us. This is the Mysore Maharaja. We actually also won, went into the semi-finals. In fact, we are now in the like next year we are working on going to the finals. So we are actually getting the entire Indian nation to go and participate in this along with us. So wherein we are this is a very prestigious challenge where the winner can get $10 million. So you need to build a humanoid robot and control it through your body. So we are one of the guys along with Stanford and some of the top universities in Japan who have been selected. So we are in Mysore, a tier 2 city, and we are competing with all these guys. So it kind of like, so being in a tier 2 city or a tier 3 city does not really actually matter if you have your goals set. I mean, that's how we believe. And this is, we have actually in Mysore we have created the state of the art robotics lab in our universities. Like this is my alma mater, like it's one of the oldest institutes in Mysore, and we are creating like robotics laboratories for the students over there. This is the chief minister and the education minister of Karnataka who is visiting us. Similarly, just last month Indian Army selected us as one of the top startups, most innovative startups in defense, and they had us present our holosuit to the Honorable Prime Minister of India. And you can see here this I'm wearing the holosuit, and whatever action I'm making, the robot is replicating, and I can shake hands, I can turn my head, and I had the honor of shaking hands with our Honorable Prime Minister using the technology that we developed. So how did it all start, right? So going back, like I was originally in Microsoft Robotics building robots for Bill Gates. So this is one of the early robots that I built, and this could perform autonomous navigation. So while Google was building outdoor robots, I was building robots which could do the same thing inside. So it can go around, it can detect people, it can follow people, it can basically create like telepresence type of situations wherein anybody can come in on its tummy, and maybe the grandmother can come and talk to their kids. So it actually has a complete map of your building, so it can go anywhere from the kitchen to the living room. So this is a completely autonomous indoor robot which can go and it can act as your pet. So this was one of the early projects that I was doing for Bill Gates. And then like Prime Minister, then I went into Silicon Valley, and I was working as head of R&D for one of the top Silicon Valley robotics startups. And here like
Anand, for the first time ever on Indian television, we have a startup which is going to be presented to the Indian Prime Minister tomorrow. We have with us Harsha and Kavita. And Natasha, isn't this amazing? Kavita Krishnaswamy is in Washington DC, and she's virtually right here. She can move, she can walk, and she's differently able. But she's moving and talking, and she's going to be there at the SAP Center tomorrow as well, via this very startup.
It's almost like a new version of a hologram, Ash, and it also makes me feel like I'm in a Star Wars film of some sort. In fact, you are the point. That's why he's visiting Silicon Valley, so he can replicate some of the success and that innovation and that entrepreneurship back in India too.
Absolutely. So,
oh, 1 second. Is it not being like shown online, like the Priyadarshi, like is the video not getting like published on the YouTube? Let me fix that, 1 second.
The video is not coming properly in YouTube.
I will fix that. Just give me 1 second, I'll fix that. How about now?
It is coming. It is coming in a minimized screen.
How about now?
Okay.
Is it good now?
I think there is a delay in it.
Yeah.
Now it's coming clear.
Right, sorry,
Yes. Now it's perfect.
So yeah, these were the videos. Sorry, let me just quickly show. I think this is what we were kind of showing to each other, like the different things, and then I think this YouTube video link anyway will show. So now I think we were here where we were just actually shaking hands with the Prime Minister and virtually. So this was the video. I think maybe you we missed out.
The new friend, Hanuman what?
ये रोबोट जो कमांड देने पर बिल्कुल उनका वही अनुसरण करता है। हनुमान बॉट इसका नाम रखा गया है।
Perfect. Yes, we can start again. Yes, sir.
Excellent. So let us start from here. So then I was showing this robot which I built for in Microsoft, which can do autonomous navigation, and as you can see, it is able to move around autonomously, just like a Google has a self-driving car. We had built like a self-driving robot which could move around, and it could talk to people. It could detect like where the people were talking from, and it could automatically turn there, go and follow them around. So I have actually about 44 patents in all these areas. So I've been doing a lot of research, R&D in these things, and this is when
Anand, for the first time ever on Indian
the Prime Minister actually came to US. And at that time I was in Silicon Valley firm. I was the head of R&D for a telepresence robotic company, and there was a person with a disability called Kavita who wanted to meet the Prime Minister and show how people with disability could actually benefit by using technology. And but she was completely paralyzed, so she could only move her fingers, so she could not even get out of her room. But we actually got her into this robot through which she is now coming, and she actually was able to participate in the event remotely 3,500 miles away using robot. In fact, she even defended her PhD thesis using this robot.
have with us Harsha and Kavita. Natasha, isn't this amazing? Kavita Krishnaswamy is in Washington DC and she's virtually right here. She can move, she can walk, and she's differently able. But she's moving and talking, and she's going to be there at the SAP Center tomorrow as well via this very startup.
It's almost like a new version of a hologram, Ash, and it also makes me feel like I'm in a Star Wars film of some sort. In fact, you are...
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there was some this thing.
Yeah,
So
Subhuja.
yeah, sure. So let us continue.
Anand, for the first
You can
time
stop
ever,
sharing your screen.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, hi. Okay. Yeah.
One second. Let me. I need to share my screen, right? So let me start sharing the screen.
Perfect.
Anand, for the first time ever on Indian television, we have a startup which is going to be presented to the Indian Prime Minister tomorrow. We have with us Harsha and Kavita. Natasha, isn't this amazing? Kavita Krishnaswamy is in Washington DC and she's virtually right here. She can move, she can walk, and she's differently able. But she's moving and talking, and she's going to be there at the SAP Center tomorrow as well via this very startup.
It's almost like a new version of a hologram, Ash, and it also makes me feel like I'm in a Star Wars film of some sort. In fact, you are... point. That's why he's visiting Silicon Valley, so he can replicate some of the success and that innovation and that entrepreneurship back in India too.
Absolutely. So,
That is why I'm planning to move to India, to my hometown Mysore, Karnataka, and do research from there. So in the near future, I'm actually, as part of Make in India campaign, I'm thinking of
Point. That's why he's visiting
in India campaign. I'm thinking of
So basically, that's when I came back to India, when Prime Minister Modi ji came, and then I think we built this holosuit. I came back to Mysore, so I didn't want to go to a tier 1 city, so I came to Mysore, which is my hometown, and started this holosuit over here. And in the last few years, I think we have been able to really succeed in kind of attracting a lot of attention. So the way I look at this thing is that just like Silicon Valley is there in California, there is a mountain here called Chamundi Betta. So I say, like, Silicon Mountain in Mysore, we will create the Silicon Mountain of the world. So that's how it got started. And this is how, because what I did was, when I was able to kind of go and meet the Prime Minister, I told him.
Hey Harsha, sorry I dropped off in the middle.
Sure.
Awesome. So if you come in now.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. So thanks a lot for taking us through the initial little bit of intro to what you do, because as you say, it's a very sort of touch and feel product that you're building. So showing us what you've been doing is the best way. So Harsha, on this note, you must also tell us all the work that you've been doing with a lot of Bollywood celebrities. You also helped Sundar Pichai conduct a TED event remotely, right? So tell us a bit about that and how all of this happened for you in terms of working with, you also worked with Barack Obama's office at one point. So tell us more about that as well.
Sure. So basically, see, one of my, in my life, what I have found is, let me stop sharing my screen and I'll just talk a little bit. So one of the things that I have really found in my life is that if you do good things, right, with good heart, a lot of these things come back 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line. So for example, when I was very young, I was not even in my high school. I think I was in my 5th grade or something. So there was this HelpAge campaign wherein they were raising money for people who were old, who wanted to be kind of given this one. So now what happened was, when they were trying to launch this campaign, they came to the schools and they requested students to go and raise some money, and every student, they went to their home and they kind of got maybe 10 rupees, 20 rupees. So what I did was, I went to my mom's bank and I went to all the people in the bank, and I was able to raise about 400 rupees at that time, and I just gave that to HelpAge, and they gave me a gold medal and some certificate and all. So I was okay, this is fun. I was happy that something happened. But then later on, Bharat Petroleum announced a scholarship where they said they are going to give, completely cover your tuition fee. But the criteria for that was, you should have done something of a social service. So that 400 rupees that I raised and gave to the charity, that medal and that certificate helped me get this fully funded scholarship to go and do my master's on sensory research. So small things which you do without actually thinking about the returns. Karmanyeva adhikaraste mapale kadachuna, right? So that rings very, very true. So throughout my life, I have observed that whenever I have given, I have gotten 10 times back. In fact, that is our motto as Holosuit. We want to give, for every rupee that we get, we want to give 10 rupees back of value to our customers. For every rupee of investment we take, we want to give 10 rupees back at least to our investors. And for every kind of hour that they are spending, our employees are spending, we want to give back 10 hours of joy and family time to our employees. And how do we do this? 1000x we have to give back, right? We are planning to use the power of technology and increase the productivity. So that is the only way, like by inventing things. So we are kind of creating a platform for people to invent, because what is happening is throughout the world, people, everybody knows how to consume things, consume technology, but there are very few creators of technology. So we want to tip that balance and transfer it and allow anybody to create anything in the world. That's what HoloSuit is really standing for. For example, like this is something where we are using technology to teach. Let me just share with you some visions that how we can enable. See, our vision is very simple. In next 10 years, we want any person anywhere in the world to be able to kind of learn any skill, whether it is agriculture, whether it is surgery, whether it is playing cricket, whether it is playing guitar, any skill anywhere in the world, sitting maybe even in a remote island, for $1 per month. That is 75 rupees, right? So for 75 rupees per month, they should be able to learn anything that they want. So, and that we believe is totally possible. So it will cost us $12 billion maximum. And I think like if we can achieve that, if not in 10 years, in 20 years, I strongly believe we will be able to achieve it. And once that happens, then most of the problems in the world will be solved. Because if we can skill people, if we can give them gainful employment, then and kind of allow them. So there are three parts to it. One is skill discovery, because many people don't even know what skills are actually in demand, right? So first, like maybe somebody in like one small town in a village or in a village, he might be a very good cricket player, but if he cannot get access, if he cannot go and play cricket or football or this and learn, so he will not be able to become better, or she will not be able to become better and showcase. The thing is, first is figuring out what skills you are good at, so discovering the skills. Second is actually developing those skills. So you will see later that through HoloSuit we are connecting you wherever, whichever remotest part you are, you can discover your skill and connect to the best mentor in the world. For example, you can get directly trained by Yuvraj Singh or Gary Custon. So Yuvraj Singh is our brand ambassador and Gary Custon is our virtual coach, right? So like this, the top guys in the world can come right to your village and you will see their image and they will see you and they will be able to guide you immediately. So, and for example, if you are a farmer who wants to learn how to drive a tractor, right? So this is an example wherein you can just wear the HoloSuit, and as you are kind of going inside in this world, you are able to go and drive the tractor around. So as you can see, when somebody is even finger movements, right, as you can see here very clearly, you are able to pick that thing up, place it, open it, and you can completely disassemble the tractor, understand how to do hitching and any skill like this, right? Whether it is farming, so I will show you now with respect to controlling drones. So you can wear the HoloSuit and remotely control the drones. So this will also act, this is like a police robot type of thing, right? So you can, I mean, especially in this COVID scenario, you can just wear this headset and you can remotely control the drone. Your body, it's as if you are flying, right? So initially, if you saw, I was allowing humans to control robots which were ground robots. Now we are allowing humans to control robots which are flying robots. So the idea here is we can bring together and bridge technology. So here you will see in Kaun Banega Crorepati, you are saying that how do we allow people, instead of coming over the phone, how can they have a presence? So here you see they are actually coming over in the robot form and they are able to talk to Amitabh ji.
So Harsha, as you're taking us through this, one question that I had is, so on one hand you're building the device, which is a hardware product, and there's the VR environment on top of it. So do you build both with it, or do you work with partners, or how does that work for you?
That's a very interesting question. So what we have done here is that the HoloSuite hardware, like if you look at like the Apple, right? So what does Apple do? Apple does it build only the iPhone? No, right? They build an ecosystem, they have an app store, and some things they build themselves and some things they let third people do. So we follow the same model. So we build hero experiences, we build the hardware. We are basically a company we are a skilling company. So we are not a hardware company. Okay. So whatever is required to kind of enable people to get skilled, that is where our focus is. And we welcome partners. If somebody else kind of, for example, here, like this is a world's first chess playing robot, right? So chess coach, where a person can come and remotely control this robot and go around and play chess. So like this, whoever are the skilled, so these are all our partners, right? So for example, we have partnered with Bosch, we have partnered with Nvidia, partnered with Anthill, like Rana Daggubati, like the Bahubali villain. So this is in CES, where there is a 17 feet robot. So the thing is, there are a lot of things that I do which are like just fun, right? I mean, the idea is like you should always have a lot of fun when you are doing things. So this is another thing where, I mean, you can see I have a lot of bias for helping people with disabilities. So this is actually a person who is wearing the HoloSuite, who is controlling this robot. So as he moves his hand, this robot goes, and he was a kid, he did not want to do any exercise. But once we had him wearing the HoloSuite, he was so excited, we could not get the HoloSuite out of him. He kept on exercising, moving the robots around. So we want to bring in this kind of fun factor. So we have partnered with the doctors over there. So we have lots of partners in every field. So this is basically a world famous producer of Hollywood, John Cabrera, like Gilmore Girls, like he was there. And we have created like a autonomous robot which can automatically go, and so this guy is actually only looking at the camera. The robot is autonomously following the director. So you can see in this current scenario, this will be very helpful for people who are trying to do solo like production and things like that, right? So this is another robot which I created, which is like a butler
This is an
bot,
example
right?
robot application created with Microsoft Robotics Developer Studio 4 and the Eddie robot from Parallax.
So that's
Eddie is
very clear
based
that
on
you're
Robotics
more
Developer
of a
Studio 4.
creator who goes in, makes different products which will ultimately help people in need, and HoloSuite is one such creation from that.
Yes. So that is the aim, that we want to kind of really build like products. See, my philosophy, let me explain to you. See, Buddha had a philosophy that like we should reduce the suffering of people, right? So my philosophy is slightly like different. What I am looking at is, let us look at increasing the joy of the people. So I want to kind of like from like, let us say you wanted to reduce the suffering, maybe from -100 you can go to 0. But the way I look at it is like, if you try to increase the joy, you can go from -100 to 0 to 100 to infinity, right? So increasing the joy will automatically kind of take care of reducing the suffering. So this is one way of like instead of looking to prevent diseases or cure diseases, the idea here is let us develop a very healthy lifestyle, right? So that is the kind of thinking that we have, wherein how can we increase the joy in, and what is the best possible way to achieve it, right? So I believe that HoloSuite will be able to, because we can map a lot of skills, we can teach thousands of skills with just one device like HoloSuite, right? Any skill that you can imagine, whether it is being a waiter, whether it's being an artist, everything, because the whole world, if you see, is 3D. So right now, like just when iPhone came with a 2D interface, it changed the world quite a bit. But imagine if we had a 3D version, how much difference it will make. So we are basically a 3D version of the Apple iPhone.
I understand that. No, I'm so glad that it's come back to you. I mean, all of the work that you've done and you've also been at the right place at the right time in terms of this whole industry shifting and moving towards VR, right? So tell us more about the business side as well, Harsha, because you
Sure.
had a variety of use cases for this product. But on the business side, where do you see which industries are quick adopters of the technology that you're giving out, and how have they approached your product?
Sure. So the idea here is very, very simple. So we are kind of looking at like any industry where they require humans and technology to interact, like skilling. So for example, let us say like there is an industry where humans need to be skilled on how do you actually perform putting like an engine in a factory floor, right? How do you actually do factory skilling? So many people now, instead of actually building, even before building the factories, they are actually using our product to now kind of plan out, train all their labor force, so that by the time the factory is up, then they are already trained workforce, they already have. Similarly, I think like we have people in the neuro rehab space, like helping people with disabilities to regain their body motion by retraining the mind. Similarly, we have people in sports like Yuvraj Singh, like Gary Custon, who are kind of helping people all across the world learn how to play better cricket. So sports is one huge. Similarly, in entertainment, if you see, we have people like Rana Daggubati and Anthill Studios and Worldwide Wiseman Entertainment. We have One Digital Entertainment, which has 1,800 celebrities. So they are all kind of using this technology to now create virtual avatars, right? Because now wearing the hollow suit, like if you looked at the Avatar movie, it actually costed a lot of money, like $100 million, right? Now with hollow suit, you can probably get something like that done for 1/10 or maybe even 100th the cost, because you don't need those expensive green screens anymore. You don't require those dots and all that stuff.
Okay, I understand. So it's basically, it's right from the government to large companies, right down to, let's say, one of the Hollywood directors you showed, right? Independent
Yes.
filmmakers. Anybody can use the software. So
Yes.
also take us through the implementation process. Like for example, let's say I'm trying to shoot. Okay, probably that's not a hologram example. Getting quite a lot of feedback. Okay, all right. So my question is, how does the implementation happen? Does, let's say, me as a company A, do I buy the product or do I rent it along with the SDKs that you give? How does that work out for you?
So yeah, so basically if you are a company, you reach out to us, you say I have this interesting use case and I would like to kind of utilize a hollow suit for this use case, and then we get back to you because we evaluate the use case, because many of these are very niche new scenarios, right? You may not even know whether hollow suit would be the right solution for you. You may not even understand like what exactly is this technology, how exactly can I adopt it, right? So usually it starts with that discussion, right? So we set up a call with you, we discuss your requirements, we figure out what you want to do, and if hollow suit is the right solution, we will kind of discuss with you how you can implement it. If we already have some things done in your domain, we can say, oh look, we already have this thing, you can take that and build on top of it. We have an SDK, for example, for entertainment, we have an SDK for sports. So if you wanted to do something maybe in hockey, so you say, like, we will tell you like, oh, you want like this hollow suit hardware and then sports SDK on top of it, and then you go and start building it, because we don't want you to be building in the scratch, right? So just like Apple had this app store which kind of allowed you to really build solutions on top of this simple SDKs, we have SDKs which will allow you to make your life easier, because technology is hard as it is, right? We don't want you to be kind of stuck when you are trying to implement something which is really, and also there are so many different AR VR hardware available, so you may not even know which is the right one to choose, because we have been playing around with it from a long time. I was originally in the Microsoft Kinect team, and half my team members have gone to HoloLens. So HoloSuit and HoloLens, you can see HoloLens is for the eyes and HoloSuit is for the body, right? So and I am in touch with most of the guys who are in this industry, right? So we can kind of like help you guide in terms of the right approach to these things, because otherwise you will probably end up wasting a lot of your time. So if you are trying to build everything for scratch, right? So that is how it happens. So even big companies like approach us, and they talk to us, and they figure out and they partner with us and create this solution based upon our SDKs for the particular domains, whether it is the entertainment domain, whether it is a sporting domain, healthcare domain. So for each of the domains we have different SDKs which are customized for those things.
So thanks a lot for sharing, because my idea behind asking that question is because a lot of startups early on, they may not know a direct path to their customer. And I found the way that you've gone about implementing the services rather curious, because it's not the typical startup advice that you follow to pick one customer, find 10 of those and start selling. And you've gone across the spectrum, you've implemented your product in various ways. And now you're seeing if the industry is sort of picking it up. Is this because the VR industry in terms of adoption, especially in India, it's fairly nascent and you want to try it out in different ways and introduce use cases? Or what is your thinking behind it?
No. This was very deliberate from my part. So from the very beginning, I wanted to develop the best technology which actually works across various sectors. So if I had picked one particular vertical and went deep into it, HoloSuit would not be what it is. It would have evolved in a very weird way. I mean, it would have been highly optimized for one specific use case. I mean, if you are familiar with machine learning, right, this is a classic case of overfitting, wherein it would have done maybe one task really well, but maybe for neuro rehab it would have been really good, but it would have sucked for sports, because maybe it would have been built in a form where it is connected to a device and you cannot take it out and start running, right? So if you look at a HoloSuit, it is designed in such a way that it's truly a platform. And we spent deliberately a lot of time, lot of effort in making, I mean, this did not happen by accident. This happened by design. I mean, if you looked at Windows did not happen by accident, right? There's a lot of thought processes gone in supporting a variety of application on top of the Windows platform. Or same thing, if you look at an iPhone did not happen by accident. I mean, they created a couple of hero applications in each of the verticals, and then so any hardware company, like they are given, I genuinely believe they are given really bad advice by people who are actually, all they are looking at is multiplying their money very quickly. So they don't care whether you succeed or not, because they are going to place 10 different bets and all they need is one of those bets to pay off, right? So imagine, like, if you are putting in like one rupee in every kind of like thing, and each one can give you 100 back. So you don't really care, you just put 1 in 10 of them, and you want every one of those 10 companies to just go and either go bankrupt or become a unicorn. You don't want anybody to kind of slowly succeed. So for that purposes, like, VCs have a very different perspective compared to, like, what is good for the VC may not be good for a startup, especially for a deep tech startup, right? So you have to really find out the right invest, especially in India. This is very true. There are very few deep tech companies. I mean, like, I don't know, like, whether you have found companies similar to HoloSuit, which are very deep tech, right, in hardware, software, across the spectrum, who have gone and, like, we have like 11 patents in these type of areas. So very few startups like this in India actually are able to sustain and grow. I think this is a question right back to you. Like, have you found many companies who are able to succeed taking this path?
Oh, well, that's a very interesting question. So I'll first thanks for again telling me that, because it is a typical like from my perspective of at startups, right, and also right from the valley to everywhere. It's sort of you figure out who your ideal customer is, get more of those, scale quickly, and grow quickly. That's kind of one frame of thought, you could say, whereas what you're talking about is a lot more sustainable growth pattern. And I guess it's more about what each founder is more inclined towards doing. There are a good number of deep tech startups that are coming out of India. So the fund where I worked, there was a company in the space tech sector. So they're making motors for rockets. And so they're also in a fairly large development cycle, and you need to be very thorough, because most of their customers are international grade customers. But again, it just comes down to the appetite of both the founder as well as the investor.
Yes.
You find all kinds. Luckily, as the ecosystem grows in India, you'll find investors who are looking at various business models, who may not always be looking at a cash burn kind of a
Excellent. I'm very
situation.
happy to hear
Right.
that. I mean, because like what I have seen is that like it is, one is deep tech, the other is deep horizontal tech, right? So even in that like deep tech that you mentioned, I think they are still having one customer. If you see, they're focused on the space vertical and that's it. But I don't know whether there are any companies in India which are more like the Apple or the Microsoft or the Facebook, the biggies, right? The $1 trillion type of companies. That kind of vision, or even the Amazon type of thing. I don't know whether there are like companies like that which are deep
Early to
and
say, but,
horizontal.
I mean, some
Yeah.
of these, I mean, there are promising signs that some of these
Yeah.
software companies could go to something big.
Yes.
And but yeah, I mean, that could be speculation. But so Harsha, I mean, tell us also, how did your investors? How does the conversation go when you say that I want to build more of horizontal capabilities using my platform? So how do your investors usually interact with that kind of an idea? Do they welcome it, or what's it like?
So I have been very fortunate to have. I'm blessed, I say, like to have really good set of touchwood. I mean, a really good set of investors, and most of them are kind of like they invested not because they wanted returns. They invested because they believed in the vision. So I was able to attract the right type of investors. So that was the big challenge that I saw with most of the startups, because I mean
that's kind of what I was alluding to before.
Yeah, I think Subu got disconnected.
Yes.
Maybe his system got hanged up. Okay. I have some set of questions. Can I ask?
Sure, please go ahead.
Fine. Your company is set up in Singapore, I hope so.
So I have multiple companies. I have companies in US, I have
Okay.
companies in Singapore, I have companies in India. So yes, I have multiple companies.
Okay, what are the benefits? Why you have done this thing? That's my second question.
So like some of the things, like the idea here is that these like companies at different places have different benefits. So for example, if you want to like sell in US, right, it is like much easier to have a company in US rather than kind of like trying to do something from India. So there are a lot of advantages of having companies closer to where your customers are. For example, I mean, there might be some especially now, I mean, you are probably like looking at how things are changing in the world, right, where you are matters a lot. So if you are not set up in the right place, and in many ways, I mean, we have that advantage, so we can actually be close to the customer and have like the company set up. So this is more of like, I think, like how do we kind of position these things in the right way.
Okay.
So I don't think like I mean, on the other hand, I mean, I think that is something most people in the India probably will not I think I would kind of encourage them to have a simple setup. I don't think they should be looking at all these things. This, like, for me, like, this is something that worked out well, so that is why we have these type of setups.
Okay. Coming current scenario that will be coming up, and apart from it, what are your prospects toward tier 2 cities? Because in my startup Atra, we are basically focusing towards tier 2 city.
Yes.
We have a presence in tier 1, but we are focusing towards tier 2 city.
Yeah. Tier 2 cities.
What are the benefits and what are the things how you are focusing towards tier 2 city? Because that is the knowledge base right now.
Yes. So tier 2 cities are the future in my view, because so many startups in tier 2 cities, I think, are going to be unicorns. Because see, one of the best things is, right now the cost of living in a tier 1 city is very, very high, and the commutation time that it takes is very high. Most of the time you actually spend traveling, like 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours you are traveling every day, and you are getting polluted air. So in tier 2 cities you don't have that much of a pollution problem, and you can be close to your parents. And also the best part is that the work will get done very, very stress-free manner, because in tier 1 cities there are a lot of places where there is too much stress. So I think, like, tier 2 cities have quite a few advantages, and the most important thing is, like, there are a couple of tier 2 cities which have really good universities, right? So those tier 2 cities which have really good universities are going to be kind of places where you can hire really good talent very quickly, and the talent doesn't need to migrate, right? See, otherwise what was happening was a lot of tier 2, tier 3 cities were becoming ghost towns, wherein only the older people would be there. So who will take care of these people, right? Who will be there? And then, so now all these people have to move to cities, and then the cities would, tier 1 cities would have congestion. So lot of social problems, socio-economic problems can actually be solved if we can actually make it into make tier 2, focus a lot on tier 2 startups, tier 3 startups.
We got on one question from our audience.
Yes, please.
That is what he is saying, sir, if a person has a good entrepreneurial idea related to AI, ML or VR, but he is not from computer science background and doesn't have much technical knowledge, can you suggest how he can approach or get these or those skills?
See, it's a very simple. So in fact, we are actually launching quite a few online classes which can help them go from pretty much knowing nothing about these things to becoming the experts in a few months. So we are launching that. And see, other way is to find a really good co-founder, right? See, like, if you have somebody who is really good and you can make them a co-founder, that is one way. Other thing is, we want to actually encourage like entrepreneurship. So we are actually launching, like, we have something called the Hollow World, which we are launching, where we are going to be teaching you how to learn all these things from the very basics. We don't assume that you know anything, no prerequisites, and within 3 to 6 months you should be having all the knowledge necessary to be able to kind of create practical solutions. Because what we want to do is create practical education for inventors, because being an inventor is very different from learning these skills to go and work in a big firm, right? Because they expect different things. So I think these are some things that can be, like, when I was young, I mean, one of my biggest challenge was I wanted to be an inventor, but very few people knew how to actually be an inventor. So I thought, oh, maybe if I do a PhD I can be an inventor. I thought maybe if I'm in a big company I can be an inventor. It turns out none of that is true. Being an inventor is more of an attitude. It is like you really need to go to the fundamentals, understand kind of how things work, and then break things apart and then build them back. So I think as long as you have that attitude, like, I think nothing can stop you.
Okay.
Hi, Harsa. This is Prabhas here.
Hi, Prabhas.
Hi, Prabhas.
So I want to ask some questions regarding like we have like in Proteonics technology actually we develop some products like IoT products and all that.
Yes.
But also we have something the other domain is education thing. So
Yes.
we have Mera Innovation. So like Mera stands for My Educational and Robotic Association kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what we are facing in India is see like there are more companies that are focusing on robotics education and all that, but they are charging a lot more money for that. So what we are focused like two-tier cities. So where like I'm from Orissa. So like I'm focusing on how we can give the same quality of education to people, to small students, so that they can develop their skills and all that. So how this VR and AR kind of things can help us, and how HoloShoot or anything can help us in that domain. Yeah.
Definitely. So HoloSuit, if you see, like it allows you to interact in the AR VR world, right? So any of these things that you wanted to teach, like you can basically go and experience. You can use your kind of own hands to go and build in the virtual world. So by being able to build a lot of these things in the virtual world, and learn, for example, like here is like a robot, right? So let me just share my screen with you, because they're asking like a robot related question. So here is a robot that we have kind of we are controlling this robot without any program,
Hi,
right?
Harsha, this is Prince here. So I have
Sorry, 1 second, Prince. Like, are you let me just finish the previous question and then I'll get to you. So I'm just showing how like HoloSuit can actually teach robotics, right? So this, it is like it gets them excited, right? See, the best thing that you can do to teach, I mean, I don't think we should be teaching. I think like we should just be inspiring. We should just be inspiring the kids, and once we inspire them and show them some exciting things that they can do, I believe they will learn by themselves.
Yeah. So like let's see, like if I am going for this our cities.
I think like Prince had a question. I think I would like to actually add like answer a few more. So I think let us go to Prince, and then maybe if there is time we can come back. Yes, Prince.
Thank you, Harsha. Why we address the success of a startup? Okay, as a startup, like as a person who wants to have a startup, what is your advice, like especially in terms of the hardships you faced during the initial stages?
Sure. So initially, I think like when we were just me and my wife, right? So we were just the co-founders, and we were trying to kind of figure out whether this idea is good enough or not, right? Because it seemed like a very, very simple thing. So, and when we went and we talked to the investors, they were like, yeah, I mean, what is the use? I mean, see, in my mind, it was very clear that this would be very, very useful. But in the investors' mind, to show them, like we actually had to convince the first set of investor, right? It took us, I think, more than 1.5 years type of thing, right? To kind of, because without the like money, some of these deep technologies, it is difficult to build. So now, I mean, it is very easy to convince, right? I mean, like if we just show a picture where we are shaking hands with like Honorable Prime Minister of India, it's like, yeah, it's very easy to get money. But at that point, initially, when we were just getting started and we did not have the hardware, we did not have the software, it was only the vision, right? So we were just talking. So to convince people just by talking was really hard. So we had to have a lot of conviction, and I poured in pretty much, I mean, every single kind of resource that I had, I put it into the startup. So whatever I was in US for 14 years, right? So whatever I saved for the 14 years, I put it into the startup. And then over a period of time now, I think things are becoming easier. Because like one of the common mistakes that I see in a lot of startups is they listen to investors a lot. See, investors, they will keep like telling you lot of things without actually putting in the money. see, you can kind of definitely listen to the investors if they have, after they have put in the money. But there are a lot of investors who will tell you to try 100 things without putting even 1 rupee of their money, right? So that is a very, very, very difficult challenge, because only you know your product. So you should be the one driving the vision. If 10 investors tell you 10 different things, it will become very difficult. So you need to have that conviction that yes, you are in the right path and you are going to do it. And you should always take feedback from others, but ultimately you should own the decision of what you did, whether it is correct. I mean, I have made thousands of mistakes, right? But they are all my mistakes and I own them up. So I think that, and then move on, like figure
Got
it out.
sir. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, Prince.
Great insight. Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone? Okay. Now I would like to ask you that
Yes.
is regarding to the present scenario.
Yes.
So how you are thinking, like how to cross over, or is this COVID scenario is a good opportunity for your startup, or is it an what are the things that what is your suggestions?
So are you talking specifically with HoloSuite or with respect to all startups?
With respect to your startup.
With respect to our startup, this is like a golden opportunity, right? I mean, this is like, I mean, we are all about virtual skilling, and now like everybody wants to kind of skill virtually, like so it's like being in the perfect storm kind of thing, right? So for our startup, things are kind of actually, I mean, we just need to kind of pick the right, like there are 100 opportunities, we need to pick like the right top 10 opportunities type of thing, right? So right now it is kind of very it's a very good place to be in, being a virtual skilling company, because a lot of people are also out of job, like they need to get skilled to get back to jobs. So it is a good place to be in some ways. But there are also challenges. I mean, there are challenges in terms of like movement of goods, movement of people. There are a few things which kind of need to be addressed. So, but one good thing is a lot of froth has gone. Like there were a lot of startups which had raised a lot of money with no good business models, but they were just burning through that cash, right? They were just kind of buying something for 100 rupees and then giving it at like 70, 50, and then they were trying to grow really fast. And those were the type of like startups that a lot of VCs were investing in before. Now all those companies are gone. I mean, all those startups pretty much they cannot survive anymore. If you don't have a sustainable model, growth is not the only metric which is critical. Right now, the more important thing is profitability, and we always believed in that. So I think in many ways that is why the impact, I would not say there is no impact, and there is both positive and negative thing, but I think the positives for the companies which have good cash flow, which have kind of really maintained their finances very tightly, I think for those startups these are the golden times, right? Like if you look at all the top companies, they have always been created during crisis. Like if you look at like an Amazon, when the internet bubble burst, Amazon was properly positioned, right? Similarly in 2008 Uber came along, and so there are so many companies which kind of actually came during the recessions, because recession will weed out like the wheat from the chaff. So I think this is a very, very good opportunity for people who are thinking about creating their company. And the best part is many of them might have even lost their jobs, right? So it's like, okay, why not go and try a startup now? I mean, this is a good time. I mean, anyway, like previously you might have been afraid to open a company and take the risk, but like right now
Prabhat, so Prabhat here. So like as we are like as I said previously, as we are charging around per person.
So Prabhas, I think like this is like, let us kind of keep it a little bit more generic. I don't want to go into specific kind of things. If you have something which actually applies to the general kind of public, it would be nice. Like going into
actually,
specific would
I
not
want,
be very.
yeah, I want to, like, let's say if I want some support from HoloSuite, let's say if we are integrating HoloSuite to educational purpose, so how, like, like, how could it be possibly effective for students like kids like class 6 to 10 or something? Yeah, so that their curriculum based learning will be there. Yeah.
I did not understand the question, Prabhat. So
Like what I want to say is, let's say if you are going with HoloSuite, then how their curriculum-based learning will not be affected, and they will be learning it more practically, kind of thing. Yeah.
sure. So basically, HoloSuite enables you to really do a lot of practical education, right? Because you are actually using your body, going and doing things. So practical. See, like, why did we have so much? Like, why is there 95% theory, 5% practice, right? It is because practicals is expensive. So what HoloSuite does, it makes the practicals very cheap. So now you can potentially have, like, if you look at like schools and colleges which are very expensive, right? Why are they expensive? It's not that they are teaching that much better theory, it's just that they have much better practicals. They have much better facilities, they have much better infrastructure, and with HoloSuite you don't need any of that, right? If you just get one HoloSuite and that's it, like, you can have like a infrastructure worth crores of rupees in just this one HoloSuite, right? So that is the advantage that you have, like, by being able to create anything.
Yeah, there is Digvijay. Digvijay wants to ask a question. He had
Yes.
message some questions. Digvijay, can you ask? Yes, Digvijay.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. As you said, you will be providing the courses for AI and ML in future. Can you suggest any resources available for now for the present entrepreneurs who are regarding AI, ML or VR?
So AI, ML and VR, like, so if you are interested, I mean, you can basically like actually send me like the info. In fact, I am every week I'm actually taking the courses. So on robotics, AI and ML, I am personally taking this for budding entrepreneurs. So if you are interested, you can send me a mail to info@holosuite.com, and I will actually send you a lot of the resources, and so you can kind of join this like mailing list that we are creating. And in that we are creating something like a community called Holo World, where we want to share a lot of this information in a continuous measure. Because see, this AI, ML and many of these things, they're all buzzwords. So what you really want to learn is like, how do you do? I mean, what I notice is there are a lot of people who just kind of go and learn AI, ML as like some kind of 1 week course, right? But afterwards they can't really apply it. It's not something that you learn in a week. Like, it is something that you actually have to dedicate years to understand deeply, to be able to apply it properly, right? So what is happening is, like, if I just suggest something, then you'll just go and take that course for a week, and then you'll come back and say, oh, that did not really help. But that is not how it is. AI, ML, these are things wherein, like, you need to, for example, learn which domain you want to apply, right? That is more important than whether you are using. Why do you need, I mean, in that domain maybe AI is not required. So first focus on what you want to do, then you figure out how you can bring in AI or ML, right? So for me, the more important thing is, what is the problem that you want to solve? So focus on that, because AI and ML are like tools, right? So if you just kind of like are too focused on the tools, you may miss out actually solving the problem. So I think there are like lot of things wherein you kind of, there is a lot of intelligence embedded in going deep into a particular domain and solving the problems for that, I mean, using a multitude of tools. AI and ML could be one tool set, even statistical thing could be another tool set, even traditional programming could be another tool set, right? So what has happened with AI and ML is there is so much hype around that everybody thinks, oh, this is like one hammer which we can kind of just go and hit every nail, right? It is not like that. I mean, it is more of like you really need to think through. I mean, you have to develop critical thinking ability, you have to develop so many other things to be actually be able to succeed and make an impact in the long term, right? Because right now, if you look, there might be millions of people who have AI ML in their resume, right? I keep getting like thousands of people who have gotten all the, but when I ask them even simple things like why, whether this one really requires AI ML or not, they're not able to answer. So those are the things I think like which you would kind of really want to go deeper, and I think that's where, like, if you get in touch with me, I would love to kind of guide you on these deeper kind of things which matter a lot rather than the surface level, right? It is like AI and ML is like learning mathematics, right? You need maths for everything, but if you just go and learn maths, like, you'll not get any job, right? So that's my view on it.
Now we'll go with the last questions. I think there is another question from Subhankit.
Yeah.
Yes, Subhankit, please carry on.
Hello, Harsha. Am I audible?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So this is a great concept that you introduced to us today, and I love the varied use cases and its wider applicability. Now my question is, what are some of the peripheral devices or requirements for its wider applicability? For example, in remote locations and also in many places in India, as we know, even electricity and basic internet is not ubiquitous. So is this one of those technologies which is highly dependent? Does it have many dependencies? And are you also working, on reducing some of the dependencies for its wider applicability?
Very good question. So this one has a battery of 8 hours. So if you kind of charge it, and those batteries are replaceable, right? So you can just have like a pack of batteries which are charged, and you can pretty much go for a week, right? So even if you want to kind of do something in like some village, and more importantly, like if you actually, once you start experiencing it, you will realize that lot of barriers to learning are because we are learning things very slowly using textual approach, using the traditional approach. The moment you actually start switching over and learning it, so what happens? Let us say you look at an apple, right? So you say apple is red, it is round. So you kind of start translating something which is in 3D in the real world into something like into a textual form, and then when that person, somebody who reads it, he may actually say, oh, red and round, maybe it is a tomato. So a lot gets lost in translation, whereas if we actually have the video, the 3D thing of an apple, and you can go around and you can cut the apple, or let's say you wanted to learn how to build a robot, you just go and start building the robot. What happens is, or if you wanted to learn like any skill, right? So it significantly cuts down the time it requires for you to learn the skill. So traditionally, because it also will evaluate whether you have learned that skill, right? Let's say you wanted to know how to drive a tractor. So this one, it will not just show you how to drive a tractor. Right now, what you would do, you would watch some video on YouTube, right? But watching a video on YouTube, you cannot get a driving license, right? You don't know whether you can drive or not. Your muscle memory is not built up. But with this HoloSuit, you go into this virtual world, then you start using your hands, you start using your legs, you start doing all these actions which are synchronized, and we can measure whether you did it correctly or not. And if you did something incorrectly, we will immediately give you haptic feedback. So through this, the learning curve is minimized or almost zero, right? Because you don't even need language here. You just kind of like look at things, see things, understand them, and because 70% of the brain is actually dedicated to visual processing, and we are leveraging that. So I think that is how we think like this is actually like if you look at like a lot of factory workers who are completely, I mean, they don't even know English, right? They were at the first instance, they were able to just wear it and use it immediately. So I don't think it is like a barrier in the villages. In fact, I think this is something which can significantly help them learn a lot of skills, and especially if they learn skills which can allow them to control remote robots which are there maybe in Japan or in UK or in USA, then that will allow them to get very, very high paying jobs, right? Sitting in India, they don't need a visa or anything. So there are, like, the way I look at things is very different. I think like over a period of time, skill becomes like something which we can actually perform wherever we are, whether we are in a village, whether we are in a town, whether we are in India or outside India. I think you are muted.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, we had overshot by the time by near about 15 minutes. Any more questions? Okay, I hope it's a really good session. Thank you, Harsha, for joining us and spending the beautiful evening today. I would like to thank Subbu, and I would like to thank Sunil for connecting me with you.
Thank you, Subbu. Sorry, I could not. I think Subbu has probably disconnected, right? Or is it here?
Subbu, due to internet issues, it is raining in Bangalore, so there is a power failure. Even it happened here also. It had happened at his house also.
Yeah.
So he got disconnected. And after the session, we will be in touch. Okay?
Definitely.
Thank you, Harsha.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.
Bye.